when you finally understand how manifesting works visually, you'll know how to get anything you want. I feel like up till now, you've been manifesting without actually having a visual for understanding how it works. Because you know that affirmations work and you know that it gets you into a state, but you really can't picture, like, how does this all fit together? So today I'm going to show you a visual explanation for how manifesting works. And I don't think you'll ever see it the same. And I know you'll be able to get your manifestations once you understand this. So the revelation I got is that the universe is shaped like a torus. So think of the word torus. It's basically a circle, but it's a living, breathing circle. It's an expanding in 3 dimensions wheel. So imagine that this was actually expanding out in all directions, like 4D. Look up the word torus if this is not clear enough. I had to use a children's toy because I'm goddess of play. So I needed to be somewhat fun and silly so that you'll never forget it. But a torus is the shape of the universe. There's a core that runs through all things, that runs through you, that runs through me. We call it the soul. We call it source. Look at, like, there's a source, right? There's a source running through this toy. We can understand that. And we can visualize this being the shape of the universe with a source running through all things. Now we can see, let's call these rings the timelines. Every ring, every timeline is wrapped around source. Now, some are wrapped tightly around source. Some are wide and warped, and they're further away from source. The closer you get to source, think of that as being more in alignment. Like when people say more in alignment. When you're further away from source, on a timeline further away from source, you're more out of alignment. Now, what do you notice about the timelines that are close to source? Do you see how when you get closer and closer, it's all together? So let's look at it this way. Right now, I'm far away from you. Let's imagine that being a far timeline. As I get closer to you, that is what it feels like when you're in alignment, when your manifestations seem like they pop into your reality, because everything in reality is actually closer to you. So Abraham Hicks calls this the vortex. I call it your manifestation. I also call it your highest timeline. People have different ways of describing alignment, but what the main reason you want to be in a more in alignment is because think of it as like everything could be spread out, or everything could be condensed. If God is condensed, God has more power in this moment, and if you have all of your power in this moment, you can manifest whatever you want. You can see all the things you want are actually there already in front of your eyes, right? It's all there. It's all in that one condensed moment, and it appears in your reality where others can see it too. So if it's spread out, well, let's say you're looking for something and it's all spread out, you're not going to see it. So you might look at a certain situation in your life and you might say, oh, I wish, like, let's say you don't have you haven't manifested $100,000 yet, but you want to. So you might look at your bank account and say, oh, I don't have that, right? But what's actually happening is that it's so spread out that you're not seeing that on your highest timeline, you do have that. So it's like a funhouse mirror. So when you imagine if it's like you go to a carnival and you can see yourself and it's all like warped and you see yourself in this warped way, that's not true. That's not actually true. So the things that you're seeing in your reality currently is not true, because the most true reality, I would call this the most true, like the God's true timeline, the most aligned timeline, the most aligned version of you has that thing already. So that's why they say, like, if you want it, it's yours already. Because look, there's a source that runs through all things. When you say you want that thing, what you're actually doing is you're feeling the magnetism of that source that is true, telling you that is true. That is the actual truth. And when you don't see it as true, you're seeing the funhouse mirror version of reality where you're far away, you're not in alignment, and therefore you're saying stuff that's not true. It's not authentic. So I like to, on my channel, tell you to get into a state of play, because that puts you into alignment. If you're on a higher timeline, you're going to see more of your manifestations because it's all wrapped tightly to the core. So I hope first of all, that helps you understand. That's the shape of the universe, a torus. As you get more in alignment, as you get more into a timeline that's truer to your true nature, love, gratitude, seeing your manifestations as true, you will see your manifestations as true because they literally will all be there. So that is the shape of the universe. And then my simple method for actually manifesting. So this is like conceptual, right? So now you can understand, okay, I understand this concept of timelines. I understand that I want to be in a higher timeline. I understand I want to be more in alignment because all my manifestations are there. But how do I put this into practice in like a practical sense? My process is a 2-step process. You decide what is it that you want, right? Because you're God, you can decide, what is it that I truly want? Well, I want this love of mine to call me or treat me a certain way. But here's where it's tricky. Have you fully decided? Have you fully made that decision? Because sometimes people say they've decided, but there's so many things under the surface that haven't decided. There's parts of them that haven't decided where they're actually thinking, but, oh, I want that guy. Oh, but you know what? He doesn't want kids and I can't trust him, or, he's not reliable, or my family doesn't actually like him, or I just actually want to be single. There's so much actual stuff going on under the surface. And I would say that sometimes you haven't fully decided. You might say, I want $100,000, but you're actually saying, oh, but that comes with too much responsibility, but I don't have the skills or whatever, right? So I don't want you saying all that. Decide means you say what you want. It's very, very pure. I want $100,000. I want that guy. If you actually do, right? But you have to be honest about if you actually do. Confront the things that you actually want. Step 1 is decide in a really authentic way, a raw way. And you have to sometimes work through your limiting beliefs or resistance if there's something that's making you unable to say you really want something that you really want. That's the first step, decide. The second step is moving into alignment. Moving into alignment where each moment you have the option of moving into alignment. You might be here right now. The next moment you might be here, you might be here, you might be here. We're constantly skipping through these timelines every single moment of reality. But if we can stay consistent, then we can start to see things, appearing more consistently. If we're always going up and down, well, then what materializes is going to be the average of all of that. So the first step is decide. The second step would be move to a higher timeline. Now, this is where affirmations, Sammy Ingram's techniques are amazing, because that is a way to move you to the state where that manifestation is true. Step 1, decide. Step 2, move to the state of alignment where that manifestation is already true. Move to the state. So she always says affirmations are the way, or the way you get somewhere. So it's like a path from one to the next. The state is the place where it is true. The state is the aligned place where you're being authentic to your actual true nature, which is love, gratitude, and where your manifestations are true. But here's where you might not know. You might not know this one. I was raised with ancient Hinduism in my background. So I actually personally don't only use affirmations to get from one state to the next. And I disagree. I defer with Sammy on this. I stick closer to what Neville says, which is that there are more, it's not just affirmations that get you into another state. Every state contains a lot of stuff, right? I'm in a state right now. I'm not just thinking things. Although every state has thoughts, there's other things, obviously, that exist within a state. There's feelings, there's the feelings that you have, there's the actions you're taking, and there's the visuals that we see and perceive around us through touch, through sight. So we have thoughts, we have feelings, we have the visuals, and we have actions. All of those things are going on within a state. So remember, affirmations get you to a state, but a state contains all of those things. So it's not just affirmations that get you to a state. There's all 4 of those things that can get you into a state. Okay, let me summarize all of that again. And then I'm going to go more into detail if you're wondering more about those 4 ways. And I will break down from ancient Hinduism if you want to hear more about those 4 ways. But for those who don't care and you just literally want to get your affirmation, I'm going to give you a more detailed summary quickly right now of what I just said. The shape of the universe is a torus. Running through that torus is the core of alignment, which runs through all things. Source runs through all things. When you get into an aligned state, all of your manifestations are there. There's 2 steps to manifest anything that you want. The first step is to strongly decide. This is the law of assumption. You assume it to be true. You assume it to be true because you are able to decide that it's true with conviction. That takes removing some of your fears, limiting beliefs, stuff that's stopping you from actually making that decision. Make the decision. Decide what you want. Be okay with it. Give yourself permission to have that thing. And let your fears go, right? That first step is deciding. The second step is to move to the state of it being true. Move to the state of alignment. There's 4 ways to move to the state of alignment. By aligning your thoughts, by aligning your feelings through a state of love and gratitude, or play, which is your true authentic nature. You're almost like, think about what a feeling is. It's like a buzzing, a vibrating, like you feel love. You feel happy, you feel gratitude. So let me try to embody that right now and almost like transfer that to you. So I feel love, I feel love, I feel love, I feel gratitude, I feel playful, I feel who I really am. I feel so grateful for the blue sky. Look at this rainbow, I love the colors. That's feeling. Thinking would be thinking your affirmations, right? Then we have the third way, visualizing, which is what Neville talks about, getting into the state of sats, right? Like sats, where you're in this very blank mind state where you're able to then clearly visualize what it is that you want. And because your mind is so blank, you have full control over the place you're going to go to. You can think about the textures, the feeling. How does it feel? What am I seeing when I'm in that state? And through seeing it with those eyes, you snap yourself into that state. Now you can snap yourself into the state through the feeling, through the thoughts, through seeing through those eyes. Or the 4th way, taking aligned action. What action are you taking? What movements are you taking? What action, right? With our body. That is the 4th way. Now I'm going to give you the Sanskrit terms for these in case you want to look these up more. So this is my interpretation of basically there's 4 paths. They call it yoga. You've heard of yoga, but the true meaning of yoga hasn't been revealed. You haven't probably heard the true meaning of yoga actually means to unite. And what are you uniting? It's between you and your manifestation. You are uniting with your manifestation, with your true self and your authentic nature. Yoga is the practice of aligning with yourself, with your authentic nature, to bring your manifestation to you so that you can create whatever it is that you want. And the 4 paths of yoga, look this up, this is not me making it up, is the path of knowledge, the path of devotion, meditation or control, and action. And the Hindu Sanskrit terms for this is the path of Jnana Yoga. So that's knowledge. That's spelled as Jnana. Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge. This corresponds to the idea of using affirmations, right? Because you're using your thoughts. Even right now, me conveying knowledge to you, I'm conveying knowledge, but I want to also convey feeling. I want you to feel good when you hear my videos. This is a heavy knowledge focused video, but to be honest, I would prefer to do more feeling focused videos, but I do want to convey this knowledge to you. So it's the path of knowledge. Jnana Yoga, path 1, right? Thinking and when you do your affirmations, you're saying your affirmations over and over and over. So it's all about your thoughts. It's getting control of your thoughts and programming your thoughts to think from the state, your aligned state, where your affirmations are where your manifestation is true. Affirmations is path 1. Affirmations are path 1, Jnana Yoga, the path of thinking. The second path, and this is the path that when I spent time with monks when I was younger, Hindu monks, I'm pretty sure they said that the path of Bhakti Yoga is the fastest. So it's like Jnana Yoga is a longer path. Bhakti devotion, it's literally like the fastest path. The path of pure love, the path of devotion, the path of play. This is why I use play as my highest form of vibration, truest to my authentic self. That is the fastest form according to Hindu, the Hindu Sanskrit studies that I've looked at. Bhakti, Bhakti, the path of devotion, is the is the fastest path of union. Think of it as like your manifestation wants you, and you can think your way to it, or you can love your way to it. The third, and oh yeah, and like if you want to map it towards Neville's teachings, well, that would be like feeling gratitude, living in the end. Because how do you feel when you live in the end? You feel amazing because everything that you have is true. So these things kind of, they're circular though, right? Because you can see how when you have a thought, and if you said, isn't it wonderful? 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 And you're repeating that robotic affirmation. But as I say, isn't it wonderful? I start to feel wonderful. And as I start to feel wonderful, I'm still thinking, isn't it wonderful? And then I might start imagining wonderful, like beautiful, wonderful pictures might start coming into my mind. Tingly, wonderful sensations might start flowing through my body. And I might even start taking aligned, wonderful action. So then I'm doing all of the 4 paths. So the first path, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. The third path is Raja Yoga. Have you heard the word Raj? Raj is king. Raj means, and what does a king do? The king controls his subjects. The king has control. So when you get into the state, when you're doing sats, right? Like your mind is blank, your mind is quiet, you're falling asleep, and you start to visualize, you start to see the scene, you start to feel what it's like. I tried this one out, and I tried to imagine just last night because I wanted to test this out, visualizing purely without affirming. And I visualized somebody kissing me on the hand, and I was just imagining feeling their lips on my hand and having someone kiss my hand like I'm a princess, like, you know, the classic, like, my princess, and they kiss your hand. So I felt somebody kissing my hand. And then as I went to sleep that night, my husband grabbed my arms and took them around him, and he started kissing me on the hands. Like, it happened right away. So I visualized that in the day, and then in the evening he kissed my hands before I went to bed. So that is how you use visualizing. You have nothing else in your mind, and you see the scene so clearly, almost as if you're looking through the eyes of yourself in that state, seeing it, feeling it. So it's not just seeing it, but feeling it, feeling the textures, feeling the sensations, the smells, everything. It's all about creating a really rich scene. And meditation too, where maybe in some cases you're not even creating a scene, but it's literally stripping away all the other scenes so that your aligned version, it leaves nothing else there except that. So that is the path of Raja, or visualizing, or imagination. And of course, the final 4th path is called karma. You've heard the word karma, but karma actually means action. So you're taking aligned actions. They're like, this is your karma. So it's called karma yoga. And it means being in taking the right actions. And actions can definitely, as nobody really questions this one, everyone knows actions can take you to a different destination, right? Like if you tie your shoe, you're going to be in a timeline where you have a tied shoe. Like, just that simple. You can take actions, and obviously that will have changes. Just like if you have different feelings, you will witness different changes. Because you know that when you think about like a red car, if you kept thinking about a red car and you drove home, now you're going to start noticing the red cars on your drive home. But it doesn't just work with thoughts. It works with all 4 that I just described. If you start feeling love, you're going to start seeing more love too. If you start visualizing that scene, you're going to start seeing that scene more too. And if you start doing aligned actions, you will start seeing more of the results of that actions and the actions that would be taking place in that aligned state. So I hope that clarifies it. Let me do one last summary. Yoga means union with your manifestation, with source, with the highest timeline, with the vortex. Yoga and there are 4 ways to get into your highest timeline: thoughts, feelings, imagination, and action. When we manifest, we decide, and then we move to the highest state. All of our practices, like affirmations, scripting, living in the end, anything that we do, gratitude journaling, all of those fall under the 4 paths I described that take you from a lower state of alignment to a higher state of alignment, where your manifestation is. When you decide what you want, you remove your limiting beliefs and anything that's stopping you from truly deciding. And that is step one. That is what makes those things that when you're in a high timeline, you can have anything. Everything is right here. So just by deciding, it becomes fact. It becomes physical reality. Now I feel like I want to end this with, I guess, giving my personal qualifications, because I always say, I don't take advice from someone who hasn't achieved what I want to achieve in that area. And I've manifested so many things. Like when I manifested the $100,000, I started getting $13,000 every month until I got $100,000. In my last video, I just recently posted a couple days ago, I talked fully about that story. So you can go watch that if you haven't. And I describe exactly what happened and like more in detail in a personal way. I've also manifested my husband, where I've had such specific things I wanted where I just did it for fun. Like if it was a Christmas list, right? And I was like, I want him to have also totally like unnecessary things that I just put on my list just to see if I could have it. Blue eyes and a chest tattoo. And he also is interested in chemistry, and he's also interested in music production. And he had all those things. He's also he was also in the army his whole life. So he's super like tough, like masculine, but he also has like these like creative qualities that I also wanted, but also the physical stuff like blue eyes and a chest tattoo. Like I added those, I got those. I wanted, to manifest my dream body after having kids. And I have like a more than a 10-inch waist to hip ratio. I wanted really, really long hair. I manifested that. I wanted, two kids, a boy and a girl, in that exact order. I have that exact order: a boy first, then a girl. And why do I tell you all this? Because of what I said. Like, I'm just telling you this to help you have faith that you can manifest anything you want. Because if I'm telling you all this and I'm like, you can manifest any appearance change you want, but then I don't have the body I want or something, or you can manifest any, financial status you want, but then I haven't, right? Like I didn't make this channel until I did the 100,000, until I got all these things, because I just was like, well, how do I know what I'm saying is true? How do I even believe my own stuff? I have to do it, right? So I tell you all this. You can actually, and I know proof is so important. In my $100,000 last video, I showed proof, my actual pay stubs that I was getting. You can also follow me on Instagram, Delta, which is my first name, DELTA, Larke, LARKE, at Delta Larke. Larke is my middle name. And you can see pictures of my life. You can see I manifested a free Tesla that was pink and white, which I sold recently, so that I could now tour the country, which is what I'm doing. And there's literally peacocks walking around here. And I'm refilming this whole entire video right now because I was outside where it's beautiful, and it was so windy that I just came back in here and did it in the car. But yeah, there's literally beautiful peacocks walking all around, and it's crazy. It's crazy. And I can't wait I want to hear about everything you manifest. I hope you understand the shape of the universe is a Taurus. It's a silly, beautiful Taurus. And happy manifesting. See you in the next one. Bye.